3 years ago, I defended a man accused of murdering his wife. The jury called him innocent. The courtroom applauded, and I walked away believing I'd just saved an innocent life. 21 days later, I discovered one object hidden inside his bedroom closet that made me realize I'd done something far worse. I'd helped a killer walk free. This isn't just another crime story. It's something that happened to one of my closest friends, and even today, she still refuses to talk about it publicly. Her name is Claire Bennett. One cold October morning, Claire received a phone call that would change her life forever. A successful businesswoman named Victoria Carter had been found murdered inside her luxury home just outside Seattle. The crime scene shocked even experienced detectives. Victoria had been carefully restrained before she was killed, and whoever did it left behind a disturbing message on the bedroom wall. Nothing had been stolen. The expensive jewelry was untouched. The safe was still locked. It wasn't a robbery. Someone wanted Victoria dead. Within hours, detectives focused on the person closest to her, her husband, Ethan Carter. Ethan wasn't what anyone expected. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't arrogant. He wasn't trying to run. Instead, he looked completely broken. He cried while answering questions. He spoke softly about his wife. He remembered the smallest details about her life. The detectives believed he was hiding something. Claire wasn't so sure. There was one problem. Claire hadn't handled a murder case in almost 3 years. Not because she wasn't capable, because she couldn't forgive herself. Years earlier, she'd defended another man accused of murder. She believed he was innocent. She fought for him. She won. Months later, new evidence proved he had been guilty all along. The victim's family lost their only chance at justice. From that day forward, Claire promised herself she would never defend another murder suspect again. So when Ethan asked to meet her, she refused. Twice. Then, he showed up outside her office. "I know what people think," he said quietly, "but I didn't kill my wife." Claire stayed silent. "My wife wasn't perfect," Ethan continued. "We argued, we disagreed, but she was still the person I wanted to grow old with." There was something about him. No anger, no panic, just heartbreak. Claire wanted to walk away. Instead, she agreed to review the evidence. That night, she studied every photograph, every forensic report, every witness statement. Everything pointed toward Ethan, except none of it actually proved he committed the murder. The evidence felt convenient, almost too convenient. Then something strange happened. The next morning, Claire found a plain, white envelope on her office desk. No stamp, no return address. Inside, there was only one typed sentence. "You're defending the right man." Claire looked around the office. Who had left it there? And how did they know she had accepted Ethan's case? She folded the letter, locked it inside her desk, and told herself it was probably just a prank. She had no idea. It was only the first of many messages, and every single one would pull her closer to a truth she never wanted to find. The first anonymous letter should have terrified Claire. Instead, it made her curious. Who knew she had taken Ethan's case? And more importantly, why did they want to help him? She didn't tell the detectives about the letter. Not yet. She wanted to know if it was real, or just someone's sick joke. 2 days later, another envelope appeared. This time it contained a single address, an abandoned storage warehouse on the edge of Seattle. Against her better judgment, Claire drove there. Inside the empty building, she found something unexpected, a small locked box. The police opened it. Inside were financial records proving that Victoria had secretly transferred millions of dollars into an offshore account just weeks before her death. Even stranger, someone had been trying to access those accounts after she was murdered. The evidence completely changed the direction of the investigation. detectives began asking a different question. What if someone else had wanted Victoria's money? For the first time, Ethan wasn't the only suspect. Over the next several weeks, more anonymous tips arrived. Each one led investigators to real evidence: deleted emails, hidden bank records, security footage no one had requested. Every clue seemed to weaken the case against Ethan. Claire couldn't understand it. Whoever was sending these letters knew details that only the real killer should know. But why would a murderer help free the man accused of the crime? Meanwhile, Claire spent more time with Ethan. He never asked about the investigation. He never complained. He simply thanked her every chance he got. One evening, while reviewing documents in his living room, Ethan quietly looked at an old family photograph. "I'd give everything just to hear her voice one more time." His eyes filled with tears. Claire believed him, for the first time. She stopped seeing a murder suspect. She saw a grieving husband. The trial began 6 weeks later. The prosecution argued that Ethan had everything to gain: his wife's fortune, her company, her home. But Claire carefully dismantled every piece of evidence: the fingerprints, circumstantial; the financial motive, weak; the timeline, full of unanswered questions. Then came the biggest surprise. The anonymous evidence was admitted into court. It introduced enough reasonable doubt to shake the entire case. The jury disappeared to deliberate. Hours passed. Claire sat silently beside Ethan. He looked nervous. Then, the courtroom doors opened. The jury returned. "We find the defendant." The room fell silent. "Not guilty." Gasps echoed across the courtroom. Some people cried. Others looked furious. Ethan closed his eyes and buried his face in his hands. He was free. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded Claire. "Do you believe justice was served?" Claire answered without hesitation. "I defended an innocent man." That night, Ethan invited Claire to dinner to thank her. She almost declined. Instead, she accepted. Over the following weeks, their friendship slowly grew into something deeper. For the first time in years, Claire felt like she had finally forgiven herself for the mistake that haunted her past. Then, exactly 21 days after the trial, Claire stopped by Ethan's house while he was away. She wanted to surprise him by organizing a few things before dinner. She smiled as she opened his bedroom closet. Then, something caught her attention. Hidden behind neatly folded jackets was an old black typewriter. It looked strangely familiar. Claire slowly pulled it out. Her hands began to shake. She stared at it for several long seconds. Then she whispered, "No." Claire slowly slid a blank sheet of paper into the old typewriter. Her hands were trembling. For a moment, she just stared at the keys. Then she began typing the same sentence that had appeared in every anonymous letter, one word after another. Everything looked identical. The same spacing, the same uneven ink, the same worn-out letters. Then she reached the letter T. Claire froze. Every anonymous letter she had received had one strange detail. The letter T was always printed as a capital letter, even in the middle of ordinary words. At first, she had assumed it was just a typing mistake. But now, as her finger pressed the T key, the typewriter stamped another oversized capital T onto the page. Claire's heart stopped. She looked back and forth between the anonymous letters and the page in front of her. Every capital T matched perfectly. The scratches, the faded ink, the slight tilt, even the tiny crack on the edge of the letter. It wasn't a coincidence. The letters that had helped free Ethan had been written on the typewriter hidden inside his own closet. Claire couldn't breathe. The typewriter sat in front of her like it had been waiting for years to reveal the truth. Every anonymous letter, every piece of evidence, every clue that had slowly destroyed the prosecution's case had come from Ethan, the man she had defended, the man she had trusted, the man she had almost fallen in love with. Then, she heard a car door close outside. Ethan was home. Claire quickly grabbed the anonymous letters and the typewriter. Her hands were shaking so badly she nearly dropped them. She rushed through the front door just as Ethan stepped onto the porch. He smiled. "Claire?" She forced a smile back. "I just remembered I have an early meeting tomorrow." He looked at the typewriter in her hands. For the first time, his smile disappeared. Neither of them spoke. Claire climbed into her car. Ethan quietly stepped aside. He never tried to stop her, and somehow, that frightened her even more. She drove away as fast as she could. Halfway home, she called Detective Marcus Reed. "Marcus," her voice was shaking, "I made a terrible mistake." "What happened?" "The anonymous letters. They all came from Ethan." There was complete silence. Finally, Marcus spoke. "Claire, do not go home. I'm sending officers to your location right now. But whatever you do, don't let Ethan know you found the typewriter." Claire looked into her rearview mirror. Her heart stopped. A black SUV had been following her for the last several miles. Every turn she made, it made. She pressed harder on the accelerator. So did the SUV. Marcus was still speaking through the phone. "Claire, where are you?" "I think," she whispered. "He's behind me." The call suddenly disconnected. Claire's phone had lost signal. Rain began pouring across the windshield. She turned onto a narrow road leading toward an old lakeside neighborhood. The headlights behind her grew closer. Then, the SUV disappeared. Claire slowed down. Maybe she had imagined it. Maybe it wasn't Ethan. She pulled into her driveway. Everything looked normal. The porch light was still on. She unlocked the front door. The house was silent. Too silent. "Hello?" No answer. Claire carefully stepped inside. The living room was empty. The kitchen was empty. Then she heard it. A quiet voice behind her. "You shouldn't have opened that closet." Claire slowly turned around. Ethan was standing in the hallway. His clothes were soaked from the rain. His face was completely calm. No anger, no panic, only disappointment. "I trusted you." Claire stepped backward. "You murdered Victoria." Ethan smiled. "I loved Victoria." "Those aren't the same thing." Claire felt every hair on her arm stand up. "I gave you everything. My trust, my career, my reputation, and you used me." Ethan took one slow step forward. "You wanted to believe I was innocent. I simply gave you a reason." Claire suddenly realized something. He wasn't trying to escape. He was trying to recover the typewriter. She quietly slid it behind the kitchen counter while keeping his attention. Outside, police sirens echoed faintly in the distance. Ethan heard them too. For the first time, his expression changed. He lunged toward Claire. She grabbed the nearest object, a heavy brass lamp, and struck his arm. The anonymous letters scattered across the room. Ethan reached for them. Claire shoved him backward with all her strength. He stumbled against a glass patio door. The glass shattered beneath his weight. Police officers burst through the front entrance. "Don't move!" Ethan looked at Claire one last time, then quietly raised his hands as officers handcuffed him. He smiled, not because he believed he would escape, but because he knew he had fooled everyone, even if only for a little while. Weeks later, Claire testified in court again, this time, not as a defense attorney, but as the witness who exposed one of the most carefully planned murders the city had ever seen. The anonymous letters, the typewriter, the capital letter T. Every tiny detail finally made sense. Ethan Carter was convicted on every charge. He would spend the rest of his life behind bars. Claire eventually returned to practicing law, but she never accepted another murder case. Whenever young attorneys asked her for advice, she always gave them the same answer. Never confuse kindness with innocence, because the most dangerous people are usually the easiest to trust. And after hearing her story, I don't think I'll ever forget those words.